Nothing will improve your writing. Literally nothing. I don't mean that in the sense that nothing will improve your writing, in the sense that your writing can't be improved, but that doing nothing will actually improve your writing. We live in an age where doing stuff is the main thing that people do. We are obsessed with action, with the grind, with putting in tons of hours to make stuff happen. Every time there's a goal in front of us or a problem in our path, we leap towards activity as a means to fix it. Now, there's obviously something to doing something. Entropy is only quashed when some sort of effort is exerted, so do not interpret this video as an excuse to not do anything. Doing stuff has a tremendous amount of value if you want to get stuff done. But not doing stuff, or more aptly doing nothing, also has value that is often overlooked. This video is about the importance of the non-writing time and its impact on your writing. This video is about how doing nothing can actually help improve your writing. I think there are three big takeaways around this concept that are important. First, improvement as a writer arguably happens entirely when you aren't actually writing. Second, what you do when you aren't writing has an effect on your writing. And lastly, time, the passage of time without activity, is an important concept to improving as a writer, and there is nothing you can do to make time go faster. I talked about this in the exercise writing video earlier this week, where I used the analogy of recovery from exercise and how it applies to writing. If you work out or practice a sport, you are essentially triggering an adaptation through the training, and the benefits only accrue during the time that you are resting after that practice. So let's start by asking the question, what is it that changes within a person that makes them a better writer? What is different between you or I and Hemingway or Shakespeare or Atwood or any other famous author out there? What do they have that the rest of us doesn't have? Writing is unique among the art forms in that there really isn't any physical skill involved in it. Something like painting or playing an instrument requires a certain amount of muscle memory, a certain amount of learned dexterity that the artist must develop. A complete novice to painting will probably not be able to replicate the Mona Lisa brushstroke by brushstroke or play a Beethoven sonata perfectly on the piano or whatever. But you could technically take any piece of great writing and reproduce it, assuming you know how to operate a keyboard. Writing is unique because it is entirely about the mental processes that transfer the artist's idea onto the page. Your ability to write good fiction is entirely dependent on your ability to think of good fiction. It is 100% or maybe 99.9% a mental process with an arguably minor physical component. Other art forms obviously have a strong component of the mental side of things to them, but there's almost always a physical component. If you look at playing an instrument or painting or sketching or drawing, there is muscle memory and dexterity that the artist needs to learn. There's a degree of dexterity, of physicality that goes along with the artist's mental creative ability. But when it comes to writing, so long as you can communicate the thoughts that you're having, even if you're like Stephen Hawking and using a twitching cheek muscle to modulate your voice, so long as you can do something like that, you can write good fiction. What this means is that your improvement as a writer and what you are missing that the good writers out there have is your ability to process new ideas, to bring ideas together, to absorb what works and what doesn't with plot, or even just to understand other people so that you can create great characters. All of this depends on lots of mental activity that happens in your mind. This means that becoming a better writer means becoming a better thinker. It is work that happens entirely within your own brain, within your thoughts and your mind. And a lot of this work is arguably not work at all. Your mind is always thinking. It is always whittling away at ideas and analyzing what is given to it, even if you aren't aware of it. This is why random ideas will hit you in the shower, why sleeping on something makes making a decision easier, why time away from a writing project can help you solve problems and see new ideas that you couldn't see before. Another good example of this is reading. Reading will make you a better writer because when you read writing that is either really good or writing that may have problems, that gets absorbed into your mind. You are unconsciously understanding and learning and absorbing what you are seeing in what you're reading. I'm not a licensed neurologist, so I don't know what any of this mental stuff actually involves. All I understand about it is the experiences I have around these processes, so maybe take what I'm saying here with a grain of salt. Your writing sessions, your reading sessions, even if you do something like watch writing videos or do critique work or work with a writing group, all of that will provide inputs into your mental process, things that your mind will work on once you stop working. This is the part that most people do fine. That's the doing things part of writing improvement. That's usually not an issue for most people. But you also need time for this stuff to sink in, times when you aren't getting more input. This happens when you sleep, it happens when you go for a walk, it happens anytime your mind isn't super active or occupied with other things. It's like updating your operating system. You can't do it when your computer is in use. This is why what you do when you aren't writing can have such a huge effect on your writing, either because it creates inputs that get processed and contributes to the improvement process, or because it hampers that processing by occupying you unnecessarily. If your life is just end-to-end stress and you never sleep and your brain is fogged up by too much caffeine or other substances, it will probably negatively affect your writing. But more importantly, all of that stuff will prevent you from doing all of the nothing that actually makes your writing better. Sometimes people are able to convert end-to-end, wall-to-wall stress into really great writing, but more often than not, this process hampers the ability to create good writing. There's this trope of the writer like going off into a cabin in the woods for 3 years to write their magnum opus, and this is why people do this, because a low stress, low input environment where their mind is able to only focus on writing is very important. An environment that facilitates a lot of nothing frees up space in your mind to work on writing. Now, I'm guessing that you don't have the option to go off and do a bunch of nothing in a cabin in the middle of nowhere, though. So how can you use nothing to improve your writing, even if you have a normal person's hectic, busy, stressful life? Patience is incredibly important here. A lot of what I've talked about today simply takes time and can't be rushed. Your mind will get done what it needs to get done, and you might just have to wait. If the stresses and obligations and whatnot in your life don't allow you to spend a lot of time with nothing, then the amount of nothing that you do in a given week is going to be lower, so the time span of writing improvement is going to be longer because you have less access to nothing. All that being said, though, I think what you fill up your time with and being as deliberate about this as possible is also very important. Think of this like food for your brain. There is a lot that goes into this, but it's why reading and doing critique work and watching writing videos and staying motivated and all of these things that you do that have a positive impact on your stress and your focus on writing will be helpful. When you feed your brain good information, when you provide good inputs, your mind will be able to work on this stuff much more efficiently. But it's not just about shoving inputs. Remember, this is about doing nothing, or at least spending some time doing nothing. You need to give your brain time to process and work on the inputs that you are giving it. This means cutting down on screen time. It means maybe going for walks. You could maybe try meditation or deep breathing exercises. Anything that gives yourself a little bit of space and time to process your writing will help you. Anytime you can spend doing nothing actually ends up doing something. Speaking of nothing, I have nothing prepared for the conclusion of this video. So there you have it. I'd love to hear what you think about this in the comments down below. If you want to see more stuff like this, you can check out all my other writing advice related videos and subscribe to my channel. As always, thanks so much for watching, and I will see you next time.